when you contemplate the shadow, you tend to not fear them as much. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you, part of my practice that I've been doing in regards with my human design, how I have been using information from what the shadow means from the different aspects of my human design, and how I have been using that. When I first started, I only wanted to find the good stuff. I wanted to prove that I was living in my gift, and I wanted more of living in my gift. So I mostly focused on that. But now I do a little bit of a balance. I mean, of course I still want that, right? But now I really think about what that shadow and how it might show up, so I can just build my awareness, so I can recognize it when it happens, if it happens. And maybe it doesn't happen. And maybe because I thought through it all, it doesn't really show up. It doesn't really bother me. So, hi, I'm Trisha Edwards. I am a generator, 6'2", with an emotional authority. And I'm going to talk to you about what I'm doing in my business and how I am using this concept of working with my shadows as well as my gifts, being aware of my fears as well as the satisfaction in everything, and how I'm using that. So I'm in the middle of building something, and it is, I call it a colander, but I guess other people might call it a funnel, where I'm going to have an invitation into something. And then from there, people who resonate with it, maybe they'll take a step deeper into my world, into my water, just like how in theory, like a lead nurturer or a funnel is really meant to do. But somewhere along the way, when I started learning business, it was like, oh my gosh, now it became this like, let me pull you in and let me convince you that you must be here and why I'm so awesome. And now I have a completely different approach where, hey, this is kind of what I'm doing. And the door's always open. So you resonate, you can come. And if you don't, then that's okay too. And letting everybody be in charge of making their own decisions. I mean, don't we all have enough pressure going on in our lives as it is? That's how I look at it. And I am so wise to all the sales tactics that they still have an emotional pulse. Like, ooh, there's a deadline. That deadline's coming up. I got to really think about this right now. But I also know, I know this is what's happening. You know what? There'll probably be some other thing. If this is truly meant for me, it'll probably show up in a different way, maybe from a different person, maybe at a different price point, whatever it is, it'll still find me. If it's something that I feel like I really need, it's meant for me. So anyway, there you go. These are the musings that go on with me. And what I really want to share is I'm going to tap into my 22. So you can see the 22 gate right here. It's in the emotional solar plexus. So here, if I highlight here, you can see it. And it is in my unconscious earth, my grounding. It's a really important one for me. And it's one that boy, did this not come naturally to me. And I have been learning it. It's something I think I've been exploring this for at least 10 years, but I haven't been working with human design that long. And so it's pretty cool to see how it all kind of comes together. So the 22, not only is it how I help to ground myself, it's in the emotion center, which that is my authority. So I got to get those emotions like to kind of mellow out so I can get to my yes and no. It's super important for me for a lot of reasons. And the other thing about the line 32 is it's a vulnerability. It's, ooh, I'm going to share something. And what if it doesn't land? What if nobody else gets it? What if I do it too soon? What if I share and I'm not really quite ready and I settle for something? I settle for, I don't think everybody else can understand this. So I'm going to do it this way. And you kind of downgrade what you really want to share. And I have done that so much. And it becomes this fear within you that you can't really express what you really want to express. And so I'm just also was going to share that I have this as a hanging gate. It doesn't complete a full channel unless I'm around somebody with the 12th gate defined or activated. And so this is a great thing for me to learn because it's not fully complete, but there's enough of that there for me to grab onto. And this is also a channel of individual knowing. So for me to know when it's the right time, not to use everybody else to, is it the right time? This is about me from an inside, from my own knowing. Do I feel this is the right time? And so this is what I've been exploring. So that's a little bit about my human design. And I wrote a little thing that I'm going to share with you. This is really behind the scenes of how I'm creating this. You might have saw that I did a whole video on my calendar and how I'm rethinking all the business. So I have been unlearning and relearning. It's the energy in which I'm using to do all this business stuff that I have learned over the years. And so I'm going to go back to the one that we have here. And so I have all these extra notes. Like this is all the stuff that I did before I even started building this out, and it's still not quite done because I'm taking my generator time. I have lots of energy, but I'm following the satisfaction. And when frustration hits, I'm bumping up against it and I'm noticing, well, something here's not quite right. Let me figure it out. And sometimes I have to run through my emotional authority to get to my yes and no. It takes time. But this is one of the things that I did early on. I did this like several weeks ago because I put a bunch of notes. I didn't even know what I was making, but I kind of started figuring it out. And then I did why I think this is going to fail. And at this time I was calling it a filter because I didn't have a real name for it. And so one of the things that I also do for myself is I write to myself, just like I take all of the writing skills that I have learned for writing for LinkedIn and I write to an audience of me. And I'm going to share it with you. So I guess it's for you too, but this is for me. It's a note from me to me. And so I'm going to read this to you and we're going to walk through why I think this whole thing won't work. It's basically me looking at the shadow, contemplating it. And what does it mean? And taking the sting out of it and just using it as exploratory. So why I think this filter might fail and what that reveals. The fear that creeps in. It starts with a thought. What if I build this and no one shows up? There's a fear woven into my filter creation process that feels old and familiar. It whispers, you've tried this before. You were too much. You gave too much, and it didn't work. I look back at past launches and see a pattern: high effort, high giving, low conversion. It's hard not to internalize that, especially when I pour so much of myself into what I offered. There's a specific memory of hosting something. Maybe 11 or 13 people showed up. I told myself that wasn't enough. I saw the lack of conversion and blamed myself. Too much information, too heavy-handed, too free. So now I hesitate. I wonder if it's worth trying again. The fear says no one will want it. Everyone already has access to this type of thing. Human design is a party trick, not a commitment. Others do it more by the book. And so I'm going to call out a couple of things in here. So it's not that, it's funny how in our mind, because when I planned something, when I forced it, when I tried to get those conversions, it didn't work, or it worked very minimally. But when I didn't, people just showed up in other weird ways into my life and not through the path that I had carved out for them. It was frustrating. And so it's interesting how all of those people who just found you, it seems like out of nowhere, somehow they don't seem to matter because the path you carved, they didn't come through that. So yeah, I'll work with you. I'm grateful to have you in my life and all of this stuff. It's not that. It's just that somehow we are trained that, you need to know how people come to you. And when people just show up out of nowhere, or that's how it appears, even though that you could probably trace them all back, and you work with them, and sometimes they're the best clients to work with, or they buy something from you. It's so much fun to have them as a part of your mix. But because then you go and you work with a coach and they're like, but you have to know how people come to you. Otherwise, how can you keep doing it on purpose? And boy, does that not work with an energetic soul like me. Especially, I'm a 2-line. This is just all natural energy. There's no strategic anything. It is me just being me. And that is how people come. And I remember like trying to explain this to people that I've worked with in the past about how when I am just me, that's when people come. How do I market that? And I guess it was kind of a newer thing, or other people hadn't encountered it. It's certainly not the broad stroke way that marketing is taught. So then I started discounting it because I didn't have the plan. I didn't have the pathway, paved with the way that the clients moved, and I didn't know what it was. And so I know that there's a lot of this unlearning that I've been having so I can learn and do it my way, which is definitely a lot more of, how do you resonate with what I'm doing? And the thing that I'm building, it is kind of like a filter. It is kind of like a funnel. I call it a colander, but it's an open door policy with no, I'm not limiting things. I'm not adding urgency. I'm not putting deadlines in or scarcity stuff in it. It's just purely like all the other people, they just came to me because they wanted to work with me. That's what it's going to be like. So I just think it's really interesting how you can have all this success in one way, but you discount it because someone else says it has to come this way. That's how, when it means something. And so that's really my inner conflict here. So others do it more by the book. That's even for human design. There's a lot of people out there teaching it, and I like working with somebody and using it as a tool, but to sit down and teach every aspect of it, that, at least right now at this point, that does not appeal to me. I like using it. I like playing with it. I like manipulating things with it, or creating things with it, or just experimenting to see what happens. So the identity conflict. And here's the big one. I don't want to be known as the business person. That identity doesn't feel like mine. Even though I know business, even though I can coach and guide, even though I have insights, there's still resistance. I don't want to be lumped into the category of just another business coach. This creates inner conflict. I know I have something valuable, but I'm afraid it won't be seen that way. I'm afraid it will be misunderstood, or worse, ignored. And part of that was, I thought, my gosh, I talk so much about business because this is what I do. I build a business. Building a business is like one of the best self-development, self-growth tools that you can have, I personally think. And so I talk about business a lot. And I was like, I don't want people to think that I'm a business coach, because I'm not, that I'm learning it. I know a lot of things. I have a lot of history. I've done a lot of things in my life. I'm 54. I've been around the block many times in different kinds of businesses, whether it was my own or working for somebody else. This time, though, it's different. And I'm not here to teach business. So the story beneath the fear. What's actually happening here isn't just fear or failure. It's fear of misalignment. Because deep down, I know what I'm offering isn't surface level. I know it's just it's not just another breathwork technique or mindset shift. And apologies if anybody, that's your bread and butter and that's what you do. Probably isn't what you do. It's probably just what you lead with. But I am talking to myself here. And you know what? I probably don't need to apologize for any of it, because I'm resonating with myself. It's foundational. It's nervous system work, body-led expression, human design, integration, woven together to create real lasting change. And that's harder to sell in a world that wants fast tips and 5-step formulas. So I hesitate. And this whole statement right here, I mean, we could all look at that and disprove that in a matter of seconds. But this is what goes on in my mind. But here's what I see. Even in the hesitation, the evidence tells a different story. People have shown up in the past. My work does land when it's aligned. I've created things people say yes to quickly, like the free reading. The fear isn't truth. It's just noise from past sessions. What this reveals, I've outgrown selling through force. My clients aren't looking for more noise. They're looking for resonance. This filter isn't meant to catch everyone. It's meant to sift for the right ones. And maybe what I call a filter is actually something else entirely. A studio, a sanctuary, a slow burn invitation. It's exactly like I totally changed. Oh, goosebumps. Something that doesn't push, it pulls. Because I'm not here to convince, I'm here to be. And the more I express from that place, the more I attract those who feel the same. And then I went through, I have a list of some things in here, and I did a lot of this with ChatGPT. So what I do is I voice record or actually talk to text, record a lot of things so I can just feel like I get free flowing expression, because that's a key thing to finding those underlying things. That's why a lot of people work with a coach, because a coach will ask them something, they'll go blah, 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 blah. They won't even hear what they're saying until the coach repeats it back. So I record. And one of the easiest ways for me to start free flowing is to walk, to move, some kind of movement while I'm talking. And then if I kick it up, I go someplace where I know nobody else can hear me. So one of the things I do daily, it's rare that I don't do this, is I have a gorgeous park that's near me that's full of trees and green grass. And I go there in the morning when the grass is still dewy, and I walk through before, like as the sun is coming up, and I record myself, and I just pick a subject, something I want to get off my chest, or something I want to explore, something I just want to poke around in, and I just free flow express it out. And then I ask ChatGPT to help me sort through it. And through there's a lot of back and forth. And I end up creating some of these, as well as like this checklist. So I was like, help me find all my limited beliefs that are in here that are holding me back, how it shows up, what that impact is, and how I can check in with myself. That's what I've done here. So here we go, the impact on my filter. So we'll start with number one. If I had truly something others wanted, they'd already be here. And these are real things that I said. This is taken from the transcript, what I said. So how it shows up. I start overcompensating. I add extra content, seeking proof before resonance. And what that does, it makes the offer heavy, unclear, and off frequency. So I can check in. Is my presence enough, or am I trying to prove it? Checking in with my 22. Do I have a fear that what I'm saying isn't good enough? It will be off time. It's missing something. People won't understand it. It comes down to a lot of that gate 22. Second one, I overwhelm and come across as needy or unconfident. And how it shows up, trying to include something for everyone, diluting the focus, because I feel like, I really know that I need to talk to this one person. Well, but I hate to exclude somebody. And that's like extra conditioning that I have always had. Like, when you bring something, make sure there's enough for everybody. Look around, see who's not included, and see if you can bring them into the mix. There's a whole lot of, in my life, that's all about bringing in the collective. But this gate 22 is about my inner knowing and trusting my inner knowing in what I'm supposed to present. And then the right people in the collective will get it. I don't need to talk to the whole collective. So I try to include something for everyone. It loses precision and energetic coherence. So I had this whole thing, I remember talking about it in my recording, is it a dinner party or is it a soul-aligned invitation? Because I was thinking about when I have people come over to my house for like family dinners, let's say, in our extended family, even in my immediate family, there's people with allergies. There's people with, perhaps they're on some sort of eating plan for the moment. And then some have just different things that that, whether people are vegan or not, or my son is allergic to dairy and I don't like the texture of that. There's nothing other than I don't like the texture of that. And to me, that's a legit reason to not eat something, because you're not enjoying it. And that means you're not in your satisfaction. You're not in your design. And so a dinner party, I make a little something for everybody, but I don't need to do that for business. That's not what this is about. So, and then I don't put it in the right context for people to understand. I start over explaining, doubting my articulation, and that obscures the resonance by trying to explain the process. Like, it's like mansplaining, or, that person who tells the joke and they think you don't get it. You didn't laugh, and you didn't laugh because it just wasn't funny. But then they proceed to explain the joke to you, and it just gets worse. So, can I let the result speak louder than the process? When it's pure, people don't get it. Oh, such a limited thing on there. So I start adding things, extra things, right? Which ultimately take away. And it covers up what was magnetic. Because perhaps in the past, if this is true and if this did happen, maybe they just weren't my crowd. So like if you go back to the joke, if no one laughed, it's like a good dad joke. Some people will think it's hysterical and some people won't. So I teach a kids class and they're all like 8 or 9. And they often tell me fart jokes. And I laugh hysterically every single time because that is my humor. But they could go to a different teacher at the school and tell the same one. And they would just be like, all right, get your giggles out. We're ready to move on. And meanwhile, I am there giggling with it because that's my cup of tea. So you just need to be in the right space with the right people. And if the other people are not laughing at your jokes, then they're never for you to work with anyway, right? It's okay. It's okay. So am I trusting my purity or am I disguising it? I'm not one-dimensional. Oh, resistance to clarify, because, aren't we all, we're all multidimensional, right? And, but what happens then when you try to put everything in, it's like, imagine that you have all of the music that you love and you try to play them all at the same time. It would just be noise. You wouldn't want to listen to it. So think of it that way. That's how I start to think about it. If I can put it in like, well, but you know what? This moment, this is the first song. And then there's a second song. There's a playlist. So what's the first one we want to start off with? We'll tell that story. The people who resonate will come for the second song and so on. That's how I kind of formulate it in my mind. I have no business teaching business. Well, of course I have no business teaching business. Well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. But that's not what I'm here. But how it shows up is I withhold lived experience and natural leadership, and making it this whole part about leaves potential clients unclear about your potency, because then I'm not putting it into the context that's really meaningful to me. Anything that I do, you can put it in any context. It can work for a lot of different things. But what I am doing is, this is how I'm using it right now. This is what I'm doing. I had a coach who said, this journey is every journey. And it's so true. Whatever I'm doing in business works no matter what journey I'm on. For me, anyway. And that would be the same for you. Whatever you're finding works in one thing is going to work in another. So your journey is every journey for you. So don't hide the wisdom that you've actually embodied. And then what am I doing this for if I'm not getting sales? And because, that always comes down to, well, why are you still doing it if no one's coming through the door? Like maybe you all come down to the almighty dollar, right? But when you start thinking about that, because to be honest, I don't know that anybody really truly knows. You can't predict the future. You can keep working at things, and maybe you have processes that have worked, but everything has a shelf life. There's a bell curve to everything. There's a time where it's like, no matter how I do this, it just seems to work. And then there's going to be times where it kind of dwindles out, right? From a logistic standpoint, from step 1, step 2, step 3. But if you can get into what your energetic way of doing and be open to maybe step 3 looks different every time because that's what your energy is sharing, then maybe it doesn't have a shelf life. And that's kind of what I'm toying around with, what I'm playing with. And how does this show up though? If you think you have to get sales and start doubting, you doubt your direction and you seek the safer option. Oh my gosh, there was a thing in one of my books I was looking at earlier today, because I'm always studying this stuff. And it says something like compromising, settling, or letting despair regulate your emotional energy, causing the creative process to feel shut down or stuck. And it was about the shadow of the 22 gate. So no. Stick with what you're doing. It's that energetic alignment is what I'm going for. And then I can't afford to lose anyone. Oh my gosh. So if somebody shows a little bit of interest, well, I have to figure out how to make them my client, and that just holding on so tightly. And what that does is means that I might be trying to lure one person. So I'm using my energy to get this one person who probably is never going to sign up anyway, right? And if I'm doing that, when I'm doing that, I'm missing the people who might be aligned because I'm so focused on that. So just knowing where to let things be. And I love this one because I love this part down here at the end. Am I trusting that the right people will self-select? And that is what I'm all about. I'm going to put it out there. It's all open door there. Like I said, no urgency, no limited availability, no deadlines, no scarcity. You get to self-select. It's the door's open. Now, yeah, there might be times where I can't personally take on anymore, but it'll just open up at another time, like I'm not saying any of that doesn't mean that I don't get to decide I only have energy to work with 4 people one-on-one. That might be the case, but I'm also not making that as a standard of I'm only working with 4 people each month because I know that's what my energy works with, because I know my energy changes. Some months there's other stuff going on. Like over the summer, when my son is out of summer school, then I know that I change that. It might only be one person that I want to work with. And there's other times where I just feel so alive and this is what I want to be doing. And I might want to work with 6 people. So it's my flow. That's how I'm kind of going along with this. And then let this list be a gentle calibration tool. Return to it anytime the calendar starts to feel clogged or unclear, because this filter isn't meant to catch. It's meant to let the right ones flow through. And so, yeah, that's what I have to share with you. Here it is. Here's my 22, and I am shining with it, looking at what those fears are from that. And that helps me to understand the gift more. I have this awareness like, oh, this is what happens. I've seen this before. But that doesn't mean I'm going to live in it. It just means I'm going to choose something different. It keeps reminding me of why I'm choosing the things that I'm choosing. And that's why this has taken a little bit longer to get this thing off the ground, because I'm tuning into myself, where I really thought earlier in the week, I thought Thursday would be the day. And it didn't. And now it's Friday as I'm filming this. And Friday's not the day because some other things happened. Some things happened yesterday. Some things happened today. Some things happened Wednesday. And they aren't all bumps. Some of them were just different things came into my life. And so I'm just going to keep making these videos until I launch, and then I'll taper off. I won't make them every single day. But here you go. All right. This is me, Trisha, a 6'2" generator with emotional authority, with a 22 gate for my unconscious grounding.